On the news here, some Wike slams PDP elders and others for supporting Fubara. Unisa Tanko says Abure went against Obi's advice to hold convention. And Remi Tinubu calls for early diagnosis and intervention of autism. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. The conflict within the Rivers State chapter of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has intensified as the Minister of Federal Capital Territory and former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has criticized certain party leaders for declaring support for the current governor Siminalayi Fubara. Among those who publicly endorsed Fubara were PDP leaders in Rivers State, Abiye Sekibo, former PDP National Chairman Uche Secondus, former governorship aspirant Celestine Omeya, and former lawmaker Austin Okpara. In response to their declaration of support, Wike dismissed the leaders as aspired politicians and questioned their status as elder statesmen. He says Sekibo, Secondus, and Omeya and Okpara were all ousted from the PDP, added that Secondus' suspension from the party was upheld by the court, rendering him ineligible for PDP membership.
You know, the problem people don't understand is that I was reading the other day. I saw a political conference made by transitional politicians, political vampires, political buccaneers.
Not elder statesmen.
Who what makes them elder statesmen? Do you know who's called an elder statesman? An elder statesman is a man who must have integrity. Who must not be here today, here tomorrow.
But I thought that's politics.
No, that's not politics. That's lack of integrity. Why am I not like that?
If somebody does not agree with you.
Not agreeing with me. Listen. Not agreeing with me. The same people now who said this governor was a neophyte, not just my boy, was a neophyte. How can they bring themselves down to go and support him? They wrote a petition. When this governor was to go and collect his certificate in PDP, so they carried the rumor to argue the then chairman that the governor is being looked for by EFCC. And so they say he was not coming to PDP Secretariat National. But they were surprised the governor came and picked his... Well, I know their antics. They wrote to the EFCC. And before they knew, there's a judgment against EFCC because I know how they behave. They did that to Amechi. When they gave Amechi ticket, Senator Lee Neba came out and I owned up that yes, they were the ones who wrote petition to EFCC when Nehru Badi was there. But do you know what happened? When Amechi became governor, the same Lee was one who came to us and said, look, he was sorry for this and this and that, just to be relevant. Now, these same people now could come out on television telling Nigerians to support the Renewed Hope agenda. It's not the Renewed Hope agenda that you were killing me. So, you now know I saw early than you. Instead of you to admit, you now say, oh, you are supporting Fubara. You are supporting Fubara for what? Is there any election? Do you want him to appoint you into his cabinet?
The chief spokesperson for the Obidati campaign organization, Unisa Tanko, has spoken on the ongoing crisis within the Labour Party. It says the turmoil could have been averted at the party leadership, either the council of Peter Obi, the party's presidential candidate in the 2023 elections. Tanko said the recent national convention, which reinstated Julius Abure as the national chairman, lacked inclusivity. While acknowledging Abure's right to vie for the national chairmanship position again, he highlighted the importance of conducting the process in a fair and transparent manner, allowing broader participation. According to Tanko, the convention held in Anambra State failed to adhere to the initial agreement for an all-inclusive process, beginning from the grassroots levels up to the national level. He criticized Abure for deviating from this agreement, which consequently led to the dissatisfaction among party members. Now, the disclosure by the Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani that he inherited a debt burden of 85 billion naira and 587 million in obligations from his predecessor Nasir El-Rufai owing to unpaid loans has drawn reactions from various quarters. The governor disclosed during a town hall meeting that the state is dealing with a huge debt burden that has eaten deep into the state's federal allocation and the reason behind the delay in payment of salaries. Notwithstanding the huge debt burden he inherited, coupled with the number of contractual liabilities, Governor Sani assured the people that he would keep his eyes on the ball and steering the state towards progress and sustainable development. Now, lending his thought on the matter, public affairs analyst and professor of strategy and development Anthony Kila says while borrowing is not a problem, it should be managed wisely to benefit the people and should be accounted for.
I think the problem is not whether you borrow or not. The problem is what do you do with the loan, and two, can you service it? The reward for loan is interest. If you take a loan to eat food, important as food is, that is problem, because the food is not going to be able to yield interest. Unless you can prove that with the energy that the food gives you, you'll be able to work, then that will make sense. If you take a loan, you should be using it for capital project that will generate either direct revenue or indirect revenue from taxes. So for every road we build, because of this road we're building, this is what we're going to get from it. I think the real problem we're having is that 8 years in government, we've not been able to see not just what has been done with the loan. And here you're right. The conversation should be what has been done with the loan and what are the benefits of this loan, because the projects the loans were used for should be paying for itself. I think that is the missing link, rather than the moral aspect of whether to take loan or not. You know, in our culture, nobody wants to be a borrower. Everyone wants to be rich and abundant. Abundance is what people pray for. But, you know, people who are in the economy and business understand that you need to leverage. You need to get loans to build, pay interest, and keep profit. I will advocate a system where if people take loan in the name of a state or a country, it should be obvious to all observers and anybody that is interested what the loan is for. Mind you, the papers of a loan will always write, when you're taking a loan, you will always have to declare two things, amongst other things. Well, three things. You need to declare the amount of loan, the purpose of the loan, and your repayment plan, and the source of what that repayment is going to be coming from. So I think those documents should be easily available, accessible for all to see and to judge it. So technically, we shouldn't be waiting for the governor. But of course, whilst we are here, we should ask both the present governor and the past governor to say, oh, I'm sorry, Your Excellency, can you remind us again what you did with that loan and what was your plan for paying it?
Now joining me to discuss the political crisis in Rivers State and Labour Party is political affairs analyst Evans Ofeli. Thank you for your time, Mr. Ofeli. Now it is becoming clearer that Peter Obi is shifting away from Abure, the national chairman of the party. Now, how do you see things playing out in immediate future in this party?
Well, Abure have constituted himself in such a way that is so undesirable. You organize a convention. The convention you organize, even the only governor that the party produced was not present. Okay? Peter Obi, who happens to be a force in the party, who actually gave the party the energy it now boils with by virtue of the obedient movement, was not in that convention. So what kind of convention is it that you have organized? The consultation was not far-reaching. He's handling the party in such a way that is so undesirable. The dispute between him and Labour lingers. the one he has with the police lingers and all that. So if you want to be a good leader, a political leader for that matter, you must be able to carry people along. And that is what it's about. You cannot, Julius Abure cannot continue this way and expect that everybody will submit to him. That is not how politics is run. Now, after the convention at Nnewi, he concluded that the party ticket have been reserved, party presidential ticket have been reserved for Peter Obi, just like that unilateral with his people. Okay?
All right, now
undermining those who are in the party, who have interest to contest for the same position.
Oh, sorry to cut you short, Mr. Ofeli. Now, let's turn to Rivers State. Now, given the recent actions and statements from key figures within the state PDP, would you say things have reached a point of no return as far as this crisis is concerned, and that the peace deal mediated by the president is now almost dead?
We said it at the outset that that agreement, that the peace deal that the president orchestrated, was one that came with a lot of illegality and cannot stand the test of time because the disputants are not ready to live or cohabit. Okay, now the lawmakers are threatening to impeach Fubara. These same lawmakers that are threatening to impeach Fubara are lawmakers who defected from the PDP to the APC, who under the eyes of the law does not even have the locus, who under the eyes of the law does not even have. They are not even lawmakers in the first place. If not that the president used that agreement and then they came together and then Fubara not being able to stand his ground too, they ordered him to go and undo all he has done. And the lawmakers remained defected. And these are the lawmakers that are hitting their head, their hand in their chest, saying they are going to impeach him. That if he gets to a point where the only option they have is to uphold the Constitution, they will uphold the Constitution and impeach the governor. I find this very laughable because these are butterflies that think they are birds. They are not. They have skeletons in their cupboard. The law is that he that comes to equity must come with clear hands. These lawmakers have skeletons in their cupboard. Their hands are dirty. They cannot come to equity to ventilate or to ask equity to aid them in their various actions. So the days to come will be quite very interesting, but I think this is the time that Fubara needs to put his feet on the ground and take that matter back to the court to have these lawmakers declare their seat vacant. Because going through that agreement, where the president will have to use an agreement to correct a defect that was committed willfully by 27 lawmakers, is where these problems are from. Because Wike himself is not ready to.
All right, Mr. Evans, sorry for cutting you short again. But we can say that in the same Rivers State, some Wike has slammed these elders for supporting Fubara. What do you have to say about this?
He cannot speak for the elders who they choose to support. What he's doing is disrespectful, as he has always done in the past. Under democracy, you cannot force loyalty. You cannot force people to be loyal to you. Okay? Fubara is a substantive governor of that state, no matter what it is. He should be allowed to be a man of his own, to take decisions and to bring good governance to that state. And if he refuses to do that, if Wike becomes a clog in the wheel of progress, you don't expect the elders of Rivers State to support him. Of course, they will support Fubara, who is a substantive governor. Wike has served his term, and he's now in Abuja. He has an appointment. If it were that he didn't get any appointment after his reign, and he's in Rivers State and is constituting this nuisance, then it will begin to make sense. Perhaps you say, okay, he needs work to do. But his nuisance value now, even as a substantive minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is to one that, to say the least, very unfortunate. He should allow Wike to succeed. He, as a governor, Wike succeeded, was able to build bridges, do a lot of infrastructural projects, took the state to a particular level. Now someone else they allow that person to take it further. You want to decide for the person, you appointed virtually all the commissioners. You want to do everything and all that. How do you work like that?
All
and
right.
then the next thing you say that is ungrateful.
All
I don't think
right,
that is
political affairs analyst Evans Ufeli, thank you for your time. Now, following the recent case of discriminatory practice by a KFC outlet at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, against Debola Daniel, the son of Benga Daniels, the senator representing Ogun East Senatorial District and a former governor of Ogun State, the Center for Citizens with Disabilities has called for more access to airport and airport facilities and services for people living with disability in Nigeria. Debola Daniel was refused entry into the outlets of the fast food restaurant because he was on a wheelchair. Now, the civil society group says the incident is a highlight of the diverse issues people living with disability face in the country. It called on the government to ensure that people living with disabilities are not denied their basic fundamental human rights. Now, TV360's correspondent Okpeyemi Owosheni has more on the story.
It's estimated about 1 billion people living with disabilities travel by air globally. That's according to the International Air Transport Association. But for many of them, the travel experience is a nightmare, as most airports have no provision for their special needs, and Nigerian airports are no exception. Using the case of Debola Daniel, who was refused entry into the KFC outlet at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, the civil society group Center for Citizens with Disabilities called this gathering to further attention to the series of discrimination air travelers with disability face at the nation's airports.
Section 14 of the National Disability Act mandates that all airlines operating in Nigeria to ensure that all their aircrafts are made accessible to persons with disabilities, ensure that persons with disabilities are assisted to get on and off on board in safety and reasonable comfort, ensure that persons with disabilities are accorded priority while boarding and disembarking from the aircraft. And all airports should make available presentable and functional wheelchairs for conveying persons with disabilities to and fro the aircraft.
Even though the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria swiftly shut down the KFC outlet and asked the management to tender a public apology to Daniel, the group says fans still needs to do more to prevent a future recurrence.
Members of NCAA staff and fan staff to tell them the rules and regulations that must govern their operations within the airport premises. This is what we also want to emphasize. Like I said, it didn't come from fan, it didn't come from NCAA, it didn't come from the airlines at all. So those are people who already understood the issue of disability thoroughly as far as the issue of access, airport usage for PW is concerned. But these are from their tenants. So we are calling on fan and say whoever is responsible for those people who are operating private businesses within the airport premises to now have some rules and regulations, or this is how you must operate if you're in these premises. Like if you have a house, you have a tenant, you give rules. Don't burn your refuse. You must display your refuse properly. Don't use generator on the window. You have to give rules. So we expect FAN and NCA to give rules and regulations to their tenants so that they will also be factoring into the global disability inclusiveness that we have been talking about for the past 2 years through the efforts of KODU.
The organization called upon relevant agencies to immediately address these shortcomings and ensure full compliance with the National Disability Act.
FAN should ensure that all infrastructures, upgrades, and new constructions adhere to universal design principles. Also, the FAN and Ministry of Aviation should coordinate trainings and sensitization programs for airport staffs on disability rights and inclusion. We are also recommending that the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority should monitor and enforce compliance with accessibility standards and regulations at the airport towards ensuring maximum safety for passengers with disabilities.
The organizers urge the government and airport authorities to take immediate actions to rectify the systemic barriers that continue to impede the mobility and independence of persons with disabilities at airports across the country. Okpeyemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.
Senator Olurami Tinubu has issued a compelling call for early diagnosis and intervention as the global community commemorates Autism Awareness Day. In a statement released on Tuesday, the First Lady says there is critical importance of identifying and addressing autism spectrum disorder (ASD) at an early stage to maximize the potential of affected individuals. Recognizing the significant challenges faced by patients and families navigating the complexities of autism, she urged parents and caregivers to prioritize the well-being of autistic individuals and to seek assistance whenever necessary. Furthermore, she highlighted the indispensable responsible role of community organizations in furnishing support, resources and opportunities for individuals with autism and their families. We'll go on a short break, but coming up on the news, daytime fire kills 29 people at Istanbul nightclub. Details of this story right after this break. Welcome back. Now a quick recap of our top stories today. The conflict within the Rivers State chapter of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has deepened as former governor and current Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike rebuked certain party leaders for publicly endorsing the current governor Siminalayi Fubara. Notable figures such as Abiy Sekibo, Uche Sekondu, Celestine Omea, and Austin Okpara expressed support for Fubara, prompting Wike to label them as aspired politicians and question their standing as elder statesmen. Wike asserted that these leaders were expelled from the PDP, citing Sekondu's court-upheld suspension from the party, which disqualifies him from the PDP membership. We also told you that Unisa Tanko, spokesperson for the Obidati campaign organization, criticized the Labour Party's recent national convention for lacking inclusivity. Tanko suggested that the crisis could have been avoided if the party had followed Peter Obi's advice for a fair and transparent process. He highlighted dissatisfaction among party members due to the perceived deviations from the agreed-upon procedures, particularly in the selection of Julius Abure as national chairman. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. And it's time for business news. Simisola Adegun is on standby for more details. Over to you, Simi.
Thank you very much, Tamilore. Hello and welcome to Business News. The federal government has recently declared an upward adjustment in the price of natural gas for power generation, raising it to $2.42 per metric million British thermal unit. This new rate represents an increase from the previous $2.18 per metric million British thermal unit. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority disclosed the revised domestic base price and wholesale rates of natural gas for 2024 in a recent announcement. Alongside the adjusted price for power generation, the NMDPRA also increased the cost of commercial gas to $2.92 per metric million British thermal unit, up from the previous $2.05. Consequently, the escalation in gas costs is expected to potentially trigger a rise in the tariff paid by power consumers once the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission conducts its next tariff review. We'll take a short break. A stock market report is up next. Welcome to Stock Market Report. Now, the domestic stock market decreased slightly by 0.04% when it opened on Tuesday for a 4-day trading week after the public holidays for Easter. The market breadth, however, ended on a positive note as 22 stocks advanced and 18 stocks declined. USA Nigeria is ahead on the laggards table with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.82%, followed closely by Julius Berger Nigeria. Now, Tuesday's trading session on the NGX closed with a total of 545 million volumes of shares exchanged in 12,925 deals. A switch to our select global stocks, the UK's FTSE and US Dow Jones maintained a southward progression and ended in the bears. However, it's good news for Japan's Nikkei, which ended in the bulls at 0.090%. That's all on both business news and stock market report. Tamilore has the rest of the news.
Thank you, Simisola, for that update. Now, on the global scene, in a tragic incident in the central Istanbul, at least 29 individuals lost their lives when a fire erupted at the Masquerade nightclub during daytime renovation work, Turkish authorities confirmed on Tuesday. Firefighters battled the blaze as paramedics swiftly attended to victims, transporting them to ambulances for urgent medical care. The nightclub, currently closed for renovation, occupies 2 basement floors beneath a 16-story residential building. Following the devastating fire, 6 individuals have been detained as part of an ongoing investigation, as announced by the city's governor's office. And finally on sport, Ajax, the renowned Dutch football club, faced a new setback on Tuesday as they announced the suspension of the CEO and chairman, Alex Kroes, amid suspicions of insider trading. The club revealed that they became aware of Kroes purchasing over 17,000 Ajax shares a week prior to his official appointment announcement on August 2, 2023. Subsequently, the supervisory board sought external legal counsel, which suggested that Kroes may have engaged in insider trading, a serious criminal offense. In response, Kroes admitted that his actions were not prudent, acknowledging that purchasing shares before his appointment was not the wisest decision. He claimed that his intention was to demonstrate confidence in the club, but expressed regret over the negative consequences of his actions. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. See you again next time.